And welcome to Lecture Academy. Well, I am going to talk to you about a subject that you mostly do not see online. Like most homeschoolers, don't talk about this. But I saw a mother who was truly going through a lot. She has a condition in which she's very, very depressed during the winter months. So she was finding great difficulty still homeschooling her child during this time of the year, during the winter months. And it is a real medical condition. And I'm not too sure about what the name of the medical condition is where a person tends to get really, really depressed during winter months. And it's not just like a sad blue moment. It's really hard down depression where the person usually can't even function. Excuse me. Or they have a difficulty dealing with life. So during that particular time, because they're so chronically depressed at that moment. And this particular mom was contemplating or is thinking about stop homeschooling her child because she just basically felt like she was a failure. And I just want to let her know, in case you see this video, you're not a failure. You can't help that you have this medical condition, depression. Depression is one of those subjects in which we don't know all the information. Even if you have a person who lives with depression every single day, you know another person that deals with depression. Everybody has the same condition, deals with it differently, or they handle the depression differently. So I can't tell you how to handle that situation, and nor can I look down on you because you have that situation, because it happens to all of us. I occasionally get depressed. So I have no idea how it feels for you because it happens for such a long period of time. But I just want to give you some tips on depression. Now, I'm talking to you from a person who has different health problems. So I know it gets really, really difficult. Well, it was really, really difficult for me, but I did a lot of different things with my health and diet and different stuff, which really contribute to helping me feel a whole lot better. But that's a whole nother video. But let me stay on topic. Now, on those bad moments when I had a flare-up, like when I had a really, really bad chronic fibromyalgia flare-up, I mean, people, it was so bad that I could not get out the bed. I could not stand the light. I could not stand sound. My body ached all over. Like, and concentrating, you have the thing that's called fibromyalgia fog, where no matter how much you're trying to think, you just can't concentrate. So, and I knew I eventually would get it. So what I did ahead of time, I prepped myself. So during those moments, when I'm having those moments, I usually always have like my go-to books or my go-to things. Like I'll have folders already planned out in advance. So when those moments came up, when I did have a flare-up, I would tell the kids to like, go get your Mondays folder, go get your Tuesday folder, go get this particular book. You can work in this. And then my husband, of course, could help as well, and my mom too, off and on. But I try to prep myself beforehand. I also have different DVDs and different playlists of different documentaries that they do for school that I will have them watch and write about. Or I have my son, being that he's dyslexic, I would have him come in the room and do an oral presentation with me laying in the bed. After he get finished doing his documentary, he would come at the foot of my bed, and I say, okay, well, give me your oral presentation on your perspective of why this happened or what about this documentary. So that's what I did. In your case, I feel like you can do the same thing too if you're able to do so. But if you're already at that crossroad where, and let's face it, most every homeschooler, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I personally feel that every homeschooler gets to that crossroad in their educational process where they decide, where they're at the moment where they're saying, should I continue homeschooling? Should I put my child in private school? Should I put my child back in public school? What should I do? Especially when you feel like you're not making the progress you want to make. We all have those feelings of failure. We're very, very hard on ourselves, especially when you're homeschooling. You're extra hard on yourself because not only you're homeschooling, it's very, very difficult because other outside people are looking and they're judging you already. So I don't want to put more insult to the injury. So you be like, well, maybe I should just give up because I'm not getting where I want to be. So one thing I want to tell you is that I can't tell you whether or not you should put your child back in public school or not. However, I can give you tips on things to do if you didn't want to put them back in public school, like prepping and all that first. But if you, and I don't know if you're a praying person, but I am, what I would do, I would pray about it. But if you're not a praying person, well, you can think about it deeply and think about the pros and the cons. And me, I need to write it down. I need a visual. The pros of homeschooling versus the cons of homeschooling. The pros of putting your child back in private or public school versus the cons. And then whichever one weighs out the best, then you can go do that. But even if you do all of that and then you still decide to put your child back in private school or public school, don't beat yourself up about it. Homeschooling is not for everyone, and sometimes you do homeschooling for a season. That doesn't mean that once you're feeling better, you can't homeschool your child again, because if you're not physically able to do it, even though you want to, but you're not physically able to do it, it'll be okay. Because remember, you want not only what's best for your child, but you want best for you too, because homeschooling is not an easy thing to do even when you're well. So when you add illness to it, it makes it even more difficult. If you need some more support with that, I'll be glad to talk with you about that. And I can't remember which homeschool group that I was in that this mom really okay. How far in advance do I prepare the folders? What I do is that I actually just take different stuff because every year before the school year start, Barbara, I think about what I want to teach for that particular school year for each child, and I put different things inside that folder. And sometimes I go, I at least do a month, and I know it sounds like a lot. But you can do a week or 2 or 3. Just don't overwhelm yourself because I don't want you to get overwhelmed. But I usually do a month because usually when you're really, really hard down, ill, it takes you about a good month before you really start feeling better. And if I don't have all the worksheets and stuff that I like in those particular folders, I also have different books that I designate that the kids can actually do more independently by themselves. And like I said, I also have documentaries, and then that's the time sometime when I go back to things or concepts that I already taught the kids to review to see do they still remember, because sometimes, let's face it, you can drill the stuff into their head and be like, okay, this is it, and they have it down pat, and then you stop teaching it for a month or 2 and work on something else and they forgot everything. So when you're doing those sick moments, that'll be an excellent time to review past concepts. So you don't even have to redo a lesson plan, or you don't have to redo, try to figure out what plan you're going to do. You can use the plans you already had, but just add to it and adjust it so it can be easy on you, where your children are still getting the education that they need, but they're getting a refresher course, because we all need it from time to time. And so you can still be on task and don't have yourself so stressed and overwhelmed. But at any rate, whether you decide to continue homeschooling or you decide to ultimately put your child back in public school or private school, don't beat yourself up. You did the best that you can do with what you had at that particular time. And that is all that's asked of us. We all have weaknesses. We all have challenges. We all have different things that we have to deal with. So don't beat yourself up. Like I said, if you do have to put your child back in public school and then later on you take them out, it's okay. It's okay. But if you don't really don't want to put your child back in public school or private school, there are ways in which you can still be proficient in homeschooling without actually being there without being there most of the time. And another great thing that I used to do as well on those moments when I couldn't teach as much as I wanted to teach, that's when I used the free online schools like Discovery K-12 and Easy Peasy and what else? Moby Max and Schoolboo. I like alternated between different educational games and educational websites that had a total curriculum. So on those moments where if I ran out of work or I ran out of things for my child to do, I would just set it up for their grade level and have them work in the particular section for each subject every day. And whereas I didn't have to do any of the planning while I was sick, so I was able to concentrate on getting better, and also they're getting a good education at the same time, but it's not solely on me at that moment while I'm not physically able to do so, but they're still getting the quality education. So I use other resources when I was down like that, and so you can do the same too. So if you really don't want to put your child back into public school or private school, then you can do that as well. And then when you're feeling better, then you can get back to teaching and being more involved like you used to be. But homeschooling, you have your ups and downs. So just realize that even if you're not sick or even if you're not going through depression or something, you're going to have ups and downs because it's life. But I just want to give you the encouragement and also give you some tips just in case you just didn't want to put your child back in public school or private school. You have many different options that are free out there that you can use. Even if you don't have internet connection, some people just don't have internet or have really terrible Wi-Fi. Mine is borderline. You can take your maybe you can get some books from the library, or you can use your electronic device. Check all the apps in your app store on them Kindle Fires and all that. And when you're at a hot spot like McDonald's in the parking lot, you can take your time and download everything then. So when you go home, you can just pull it up and your child will have everything they need. Another good one is that's totally inclusive online is Khan's Academy. So it's Khan's Academy, Discover K-12, Moby Max, but Moby Max is Common Core, so if you're not into Common Core, you wouldn't like that. Let's see, Schoolboo is more like a fun, interactive game, but it's educational and it goes over all the subjects. It even teaches your child Spanish and I think French if you want to. So, let me see. Could you create another video on creating lessons with free resources? Yes, I can. I can actually do that, but I probably won't get to it until next week. My kids actually we're going to do like a field trip tomorrow, possibly. We'll see how tomorrow goes. And I have some schoolwork that I have to do for myself. My husband and I are taking a class together online, so that's why I'm doing the videos on Thursday, so that we can have Friday to do our classes together. But I would definitely put that into my to-do list for videos showing how to do lesson plans and how easy. It's really not difficult to do a lesson plan at all. So if your book has a table of contents, there is your lesson plan. You can just add in whatever you want. But if you want to get more detailed into your lesson plan, I'll show you how to do it. Okay, well, I think that's the end of the video. What I want to talk about being at that crossroad. You have to do what's best for your family, your unique homeschool. If that is the best option for your family, then that's fine. Just don't compare yourself to other people, other homeschools. Everybody's different. So again, this is Tina from Lakeshore Academy. Have a good day. Bye.